Hi, this is Diana coming to you with a Bright Knowledge Instant. Bright Knowledge Instants are designed to show you one thing that you can do today to move your creativity forward. And today I want to talk about memory. Memory is a hot topic for creatives, especially musicians. And with memory, it tends to be something that we think we're either good at or bad at, almost like the myth of talent. But just like the talent is a myth, so is good memory. Memory is a skill that you can cultivate over time. And the more you practice your memory, the better you get at it. One of the most beautiful descriptions I've heard of memory is by my student, Linda, wonderful woman, and she calls it deep knowing. And I think this is a wonderful way to sidestep all the baggage that memory tends to have for musicians. We tend to fear things like memory lapses. Memory feels like an imposition, a drag. Deep knowing takes ownership again of your memory experience. So if you think of deep knowing as resonating better with you, use that every single time I say the word memory. It's deep knowing. For me, it's the same thing. But we want to find language that resonates with us because we are musicians. So with memory, there is great confidence when we have memorized a piece. We do know it deeply, as Linda says. It opens up our artistry, it opens up our creativity, and it just opens up a whole new world for us in terms of moving ahead with our creativity. Now, how to actually cultivate this memorization? The very first step, and the one I want to talk to you about today, is auditory memory. Now, there are 3 types of musical memory you can control. I'm not going to count muscle memory because muscle memory is a habit, it is not a memory. So the 3 types of memory you can control are auditory memory, analytical memory, and kinesthetic memory. We start with auditory memory because that is the one that rules them all. Without having an auditory memory of what you're playing, improvising on, composing, you are basically working in the dark, and that's where we may be playing along and suddenly there's just a gap and we don't know what to do. And that's oftentimes because it's not deeply embedded in our auditory memory. So how to cultivate this auditory memory? Auditory memory applies to both the songs that you're playing, improvisations that you're doing, and also genres that you love and genres that you don't love. So you have this huge musical vocabulary that you can draw on. So there are multiple levels of auditory memory. Let's talk about how to put them into practice. First is with your own pieces. So with your own song, your auditory memory means that away from your instrument, you can sing the song in your head, top to bottom. And I say in your head because you hear all parts. It's not just singing the melody line. It's actually hearing all parts. So right now, if you close your eyes and hear Beethoven's Fifth in your head, you actually can hear the whole orchestra. But if you just try to sing the melody, da-da-da-da, that's just one tiny part of the picture. So with auditory memory, you actually have an oral image of the entire piece top to bottom, and you're able to sing it in your head with no gaps. That means you know the song in your head, and it gives you so much more confidence when you are practicing and performing it. Now, what if you're an improviser? Auditory memory still counts just the same. So say you're doing an improvisation in Lydian mode. You have a great oral memory for what Lydian mode is. You know its entire character. You know what the different intervals sound like. You know what the accompaniment could be. You have an oral picture, an oral landscape in your head before you even get started. Now, you may be taken by surprise as you go along, which is a beautiful feature of improvisation. That's all good. The thing is, you really want to have an oral picture when you start. What about other genres? So, for example, close your eyes again and hear Celtic music. Have a picture of Celtic music in your head. Let's switch over now. What about jazz? What about classical? And right now we're rehearsing our oral memory, our oral vocabulary, and these we can bring then to the pieces that we're arranging, that we are improvising on, that we're composing, or simply interpreting. So by having this type of memory, suddenly there's a lot more available to you artistically. Now, how to actually do this? Well, definitely singing your pieces as you're going along, and the good news, you can do that anywhere. You can be singing it in your head as you walk along, as you're driving, as you're waiting for something, so your practice time opens up incredibly. This is legitimate practice. And then listening to recordings, live performances of other genres that you like, and also genres you don't like. Listening to them occasionally will really help, because it helps you define your style. You say in your oral landscape, that's a particular shrub that doesn't fit, and you're able to articulate why. This gives you tremendous artistic control and artistic prowess, I would say. So in terms of listening, of course, you have your CD collection, you have iTunes, you have YouTube, you have Pandora. So Pandora is a wonderful place because it will oftentimes introduce you to things that you haven't heard before, but they are in a genre that you love. So you make all these new discoveries. With YouTube, you let a playlist run, and sure enough, it starts running into some crazy stuff. That's really interesting too. So all of these things are highly enjoyable, and they can be fit seamlessly into your life, into downtime moments when you can't practice, but you can, because you can do your oral memory, and then allowing music to play in the background or sitting and paying attention to it. In both cases, you will actually absorb the oral information, and you will increase your oral vocabulary. So today was about oral memory. Oral memory is the memory that rules them all. It is the one that you want to have in place before you look at the other types of memory that we'll discuss later, which are analytical. So that's the theoretical side of music, the architecture, where we talk about keys, modes, time signatures, all that kind of stuff. The facts of music, the architecture, and then the kinesthetic side of playing, which is how are your fingers moving? What is the choreography, the dance, the shape? That works for any instrument, piano, flute, harp, of course. So today, I'd love you to start going through your songs and seeing where your oral memory is on them. Can you sing from top to bottom on your songs? If there are little spots that are kind of blank, they'll feel sort of blank, work on integrating them into your oral memory. And how you'll do that is by listening to them. Either really listening when you're playing, which is always a great idea, or listening to recordings of your piece. So get started with that today, and let me know how it works for you. Oral memory has been our theme. Bye.